students. Today we are in for another lesson. We are meeting again on our online platform, our online lesson. I want to encourage you to keep on walking. You keep on walking. You should not be tired. Today, we'll continue with the angiosperms. This time around, we'll be looking at the stem, because our last lesson we talked about the roots, and this time we'll be looking at the stems. And our key lesson will be on the types of stems. And our plan here, we'll get the introduction to say what stems are. We'll look at the type of stems, and under this type of stems, we'll talk of area stems, underground stems, woody erect stems. Then, on our introduction, we'll get to say what stems are. We'll know that when you draw the flowering plant, which we said is divided into three main parts: the root, the stem, and the shoot, you realize that the stem is that part that grows out of the soil. But as we go into the various types of stems, we'll discover that some stems grow underground, and we'll talk of underground stems. So here we are talking of the stems to be the part that grow out of the soil, and we say some grow in the ground. And the stems that grow out of the soil, they bear leaves, branches, flowers, fruits. And most stems at young stage are green, but as they grow to maturity, they turn brown. I want to indicate that stems, they contain noots and internoots. And the noots produce leaves and branches. Stems too, they develop buds. Buds are also reproductive parts, vegetative parts. They develop buds. Some of the buds here, we have terminal buds. We saw this in the structure of the flowering plant. Axillary bud, we equally saw that. Then adventitious buds. We say these are buds formed from modified stems and roots. You discover that when you look at stems like, or plants like cocoyams, like Irish potatoes, like sweet potatoes, when you look at these plants and you look at what you eat as cocoyams, as yams, as sweet potatoes, as Irish potatoes, you discover that in them there are some areas where that tuber can shoot. So those areas where the tuber can shoot, we call it adventitious buds. So we have it in stems and roots. And like we mentioned in our structure of the roots, that roots and stems, they have vascular bundles. And these vascular bundles include what and what? The vascular bundles here are what and what? Yes, somebody says the xylem and the phloem. So the xylem transport water, mineral salts, and the phloem transport dissolved food. As we'll get into some types of stems, if we look at this, I'll try to find out that can we identify some of these plants? Can we identify some of these plants? Yes. This one. Can somebody identify? Yes. Somebody is saying it's like onions. Somebody is saying it's like leek. Can we identify this one? Yes. Somebody say it's like Irish potatoes. Can we identify this one? Somebody is yes. Somebody is talking of ginger. Yes, we can identify this one clearly, that it is ginger. And therefore here you are seeing that the stem of ginger, we call it rhizome. And this one, like that of Irish potato, you will discover now those adventitious buds. I was telling you, these points are the adventitious buds. Here they are there. Those points are adventitious buds. If you come down here, you have this. This, you can talk of cocoyams. It also has its adventitious buds. It's like the stem of cocoyam. So all of these are stem. Why do we call them stem? Because if you look at this from here, you have the leaf. From the leaf, these are the roots. Therefore, this is the stem. It's very clear. So therefore, this stem, you may not see it out of the ground. The stem is found in the ground. They grew underground. So that we call them underground stem. So these are some examples. Here mostly the underground stems. The type of stems. And like we said, that we have aerial stems and underground stem as the two main classes of stems. And under aerial stems, examples of the different kinds of aerial stems. First, we say these aerial stems, they grew out of the ground. Most of them here are weak and can support themselves on other branches or stems in an upright position. They support themselves on other branches or stems, which means if they are weak, it means as they are growing out of the ground, they cannot grow straight upward on their own. They support on other branches and on other stems. Let's get examples. We are talking of twining stem. We say they are long and thin stems that climb on other stems or support by twisting round other stems. For example, yams and beans. We have climbers. The climbers here, we say these are stems that climb on other stems of other plants, and they have tendrils or hooks to support them. For example, we talk of pumpkins. Talk of pumpkin leaves. You see the way it grows. It tries to attach itself on other stem and is growing. It develops tendrils. It means it develops root-like structures that tend to go around, that tend to support it on the stem. Then we have watermelon. These are ones that develop tendrils. Then the rose, it develops hooks. Then we have creepers. Creepers. Say these are weak stems that have no special structures that can enable them to climb or help them to climb. They develop by creeping on the ground. For example, Bahama grass. This Bahama grass is a creeping type of grass. Its stems grow, when you plant it, it grows, it lives from one area to another. It moves by its stem. Its stems tend to creep from one area to another. You plant it this way, you discover that the stem moves, and as the stem touches the ground, you find that roots equally develop. You have spinach. The spinach here is a vegetable, and this vegetable too, it has that type of creeping stem. Then we'll look at underground stem. And for those underground stems, we have indicated that there are those that grow in the ground. For example, bulb, rhizome, corm. We'll get the examples. The bulbs here, we are referring to short cone-like stems with overlapping fleshy leaves arranged in a ring around the stem. Here we are talking of onions and garlics. We have rhizome. So these are stems that lie horizontal below the ground. They are thick and swollen, storing food. They have noots, which are called vegetative parts, and they can produce young ones. For example, here we saw ginger. Then there's elephant grass. Their stems are described as the rhizome. Then we have the corm. We say they are short, thick, rounded on the ground stem. They also store food. And the food is always used by the young one to grow. A good example here is cocoyams. It stores food. The stem is called corm. Then we have stolons. These are stems that grow horizontally along the surface of the ground. When the root of this stem touches the ground, it develops roots. And when the roots get into the ground, a young shoot just develops from that area. I would say stolons are also called runners. And here we are talking of strawberry. It's a fruit. We are also talking of sweet potato. Look at the stem of sweet potato. It moves. It's like a runner. It can leave from one area to another and covers a distance. So that's why we call them runners. Then stem tubers. We say they are swollen underground stems that store food. The tubers, they can also shoot from any part, even if cut. For example, let's look at Irish potato. When you cut Irish potato, you can cut it into two and plant it. You discover that each part will be developing the young one. That's why we're saying that they have adventitious buds. I was indicating the buds. Those areas are buds, and they always develop. Then we'll look at the last one, which are the woody erect stems. These are some sort of area stems, but these ones, they grew outward and straight on their own without supporting themselves on other plants. Here we are talking of most of the plants we have around us. Mahogany, this is a hardwood. Eucalyptus, pear, mango, guavas. Most of these plants that we have around us. Kola nuts, they are woody erect stems. Woody in the sense that they are even used as wood. So it's very clear. They are used as wood. Their stems are woody. They are not as weak as other stems. These ones, they can be used as wood. So this is our lesson for today on the types of stems. And like we said, by this lesson, at the end of this lesson, you are supposed to make sure that you come out clearly. As we end the lesson, you are supposed to come out clearly with the different types of stems and the various examples that are involved. Very clearly, the different types of stems, the examples involved. Area stems, underground stems, woody erect stems, and possibly their examples. Take note, the structures there, the diagrams there of the underground stems are for you to note. You could still draw, but take note that they are just helping you in the lesson to see the various modified stems. We call them underground stems. That is it for today. Thank you for being there. I wish that you continue in that spirit. Keep on working hard. Keep the spirit of Mike Denny. God bless you and have a nice day. Thank you.